Well, as you can see from my t-shirt, I am a BlackBerry aficionado. But BlackBerry really gave up on us a few years ago and my brief is just falling apart. And so I decided to take this nice little offer here, bought one of them, and now I wanted to show you what I got. And yes, I know this video is late, blame it mainly on UPS, but also on the lack of rendering and cutting capacity in my office. And after what can only be described as the worst shipping experience ever, incidentally you see my phone number is here, so UPS also was lying here. Here we have the box with the Cosmo. And let's get started by looking what we actually get inside. Cut here as well. Let's just play it safe. And yes, we see there is a relatively clear way how the box will open. And yes, here we go. Here we have the phone itself. And then we also have the two accessories which I purchased. Because as you know, I use my phones very long, and so I decided I'm also purchasing the router base station, the charger, and here's the actual box with the phone. And yes, here we have the box. We cut in here, you see they seal it. And then we can already open it. This is very neat. Did you see this as you open it? It shows you a preview of the keyboard. And then this opens like this. Oh, and I like this. Here's the actual phone, which is inside, nice and heavy. And now we can continue digging in. This is also pretty neat. There is something here to make the pulling out easier. We have this SIM tool thing. So, here we have this little tab, which is not so easy to get out. There is a bit of a squash in here. You see? Then here we find the SIM pulling tool. And we can go in a little deeper. Here, this is just an envelope. And then here we find two little boxes. Oh, the one little box has a charger. And the other one has a data cable. Huh. What a nice surprise. So I bought the second charger essentially for not much reason, but we are going to look at this very soon. In the meantime, we see here, this is this guy. There we find the usual regulatory notices, few stickers, and what I really like, the quick start guide, which you see, it has the format of the device. You see, you can flip it open like the device. And finally, they give you a cleaning cloth. And here we have the actual device. It comes in this protective sticky thing, which we're going to open like this. And there we have the little boy. And here he is open. It's pretty satisfactory so far. And yes, I bought the Japanese model because they gave me a very good deal, because apparently they produced too many of them. And yes, this is a protective foil, and so I don't need to worry too much. This is also a protective foil. So this is the unit. And now it's time to look at some of the additional accessories. First things first, this is the included charger, which you see is Japanese, and this is the additional model. And you see the Japanese one
outputs 5 volt at 2000 milliampere, whereas this guy gives us 9 or 12 volts at 1.2 milliampere. So it is significantly faster. And you see here we open this. Yes, the lid is a little bit blemished, but we go in here. We get this decent cable, and then we have this weird construction here, which is annoying, but here. And now we have this actual charger where we can plug it in, and then we can use that later to power on the device. And yes, it says Gemini on here, but it also works with the Cosmo. And then the final trinket which we get is this guy here, also those Gemini on the outside. In we go. And we get this little pack thingy here, which you see it has USB and it has an Ethernet port. And this is basically the communications hub for the device if you want to use it as a laptop of sorts. And now it is time for a first charging. If you look in the little manual, it tells you that the two ports are not completely the same. Namely, that only the left port can be used for quick charging. And you see, now I've plugged it in, and we get a nice little red status LED here. And if we open the thing, we still get nothing at the moment. But this probably is normal and the guy will wake up after a little bit. And now, surprisingly, as we've seen here, the device showed some rainbow colored things and then it quickly said 0% battery and shut off again. Let's see if I can provoke this again. Yes, I can. If I push the power button, he says low battery. And if I open him, we get here this green light. But even if I mash the power button, he doesn't bring on the main screen, but he limits himself to only this one on the front. So let's leave the guy alone to charge a little bit.
Every creator has it, so why shouldn't I do it as well? As always, you know, I need your help. Down there, like and subscribe. And if you really want to help me, please watch some of my longer videos because I need the view hours. Thank you very much.
And now that I've given the guy a bit of time, you see here we push the button again and you see the colors also have changed. And now we open it and here on the inside, sometimes very shortly, we see the charging animation, which is normally, you know it for example from the Verney Apollo Lite or from other MediaTek phones. And now we push this button for a long time. And we see there is a bit of vibration action. And now we can watch the first startup in its full glory. There is a bit of an animation as you see here. And now I can select the language. Of course, I'm going to do English US. And now we see here. We push enter. Identify your keyboard layout. Here probably we can experiment a little bit. For now, I'm going to just say English US. And see what happens next. And here we are already inside of the menu. That went very, very unbureaucratically. And so we can then play around with it a little bit more. And one more very interesting thing, as you see here, I now gave the guy a Wi-Fi connection. And now you see here it automatically started to try and look for an update for the cover display, for the display on the outside. And now if I click here, check for update, we see it still complains. So maybe we need to do a software update first. For this we have to go here, into the settings, System Backup Updates. Then we go here for the wireless update, and now we see he's checking for his update. And yes, this is quite a bit slow because my Wi-Fi is relatively fast, but you see here he found an update. So let's click the download button, and we see the guy slowly but surely working to get the file downloaded. Incidentally, this running here at the bottom, this seems to be a mistake of the camera. Let's zoom in deeper. And yes, so we can now say install now. And now we see the guy, it copied it over, and now he's installing himself the firmware update. This is also a bit strange. I've never seen this before. Zoom in a bit more. The camera cannot resolve it. But you see, this is a kind of update screen which I've never seen before. Normally they use a different update screen. So apparently Planet Computers did do quite a bit in terms of customization to make the Android on the Cosmo less intrusive than it is on other devices. And so we see we are almost back. And you see the startup has been completed. And now we can wait. It's doing its usual little startup. It's finishing the system update. You see this here. Updating the app things. And now it is successfully updated. Now the Play Store starts to bitch. It always does. And eventually the cover display update should run once again. Oh, and what do we have here? Yet another update is offered. And we see here it's time for yet another one. This time it's only 4 to 6 megabytes. But apparently it's the cycle of the never-ending update. And here you see the screen regularly dims, and you always have to mash this button a little bit. And you see there is some kind of highlight moving across the screen. So at least to me it looks like they did try to implement some kind of 5-way navigation. But be that as it may, I'm gonna let the guy download his update and stuff, and I'm just gonna let it sit a little bit, and eventually I will come back to it later. And in what probably is the most surprising twist of this review, or rather unboxing, we now have a third update waiting for the Cosmo. And yes, sometimes the update finding app fails, then you close it, you reopen it, and then normally the search continues. As you see here, we are now being updated once again. And of course, as always, install now or install later. We install now. And this time we see the process is a bit more work intensive than it was before. And yes, we get the next reboot again.
What should I say more? This is what you get in the box of the Cosmo. And I've got the Cosmo in use for a few days now. So I'm working on a big review, because as you know, I used to also do mobile phone reviews for a living in the past. So I know the drill at least a little bit, and I hope to report more shortly.